Good afternoon and welcome to our first live audience Thursday President's Update. We're also in a new location because I want to show you something you've heard a lot about as I've talked about it, Simplex, but more on that later. I'd like to start by sharing some great news about some of our nursing team members. For the third year, Ivy Tech has had participants accepted into the National League of Nursing's leadership programs. Acceptance in these programs is very competitive, and we are proud to have Dr. Nadina Fry, Dr. Sharon Adams-Willey, Ashley Carter, Jennifer Philbin, and Joy Barnes participate in the LEAD program, and Dr. Angie Kohler participating in the Executive Leadership program. Congratulations, and thank you to the nursing faculty, program chairs, and deans for your commitment to excellence and lifelong education. Last summer, we rolled out the organizational structure recommendations, such as the C1, 2, and 3 campuses, and campus organizational structures. And one of our commitments to you was to reset the campus budgets for fiscal years 2019. Considering a realignment of campus budgets was something our chancellors had been requesting for many years. I've asked Andy Bound, Senior VP and Chief Operating Officer, to join us today to explain where we are with this process. Welcome, Andy.
Great. Thank you, Sue. As you know, considering a realignment of campus budgets comes as a result of the organizational structure project and also in response to 50 years of budgeting practices. Since the announcement of the organizational structure recommendations, the finance team, with input from many others, began working on a variety of budget allocation models. In total, more than 20 allocation models were considered. 7 budget models were then presented to the chancellors for consideration, including 2 models that were developed by Purdue Solutions. Sue, you probably like that because
Maybe.
They're a group of industrial engineering students from Purdue University. After a morning of reviewing the 7 models, the chancellors reached consensus around one final model, and that budget allocation model will be utilized for the fiscal year 19 year and beyond. There are several factors that make this budget model appealing and implementable. First, the selected budget model factors in the unique characteristics of each campus and service area. Second, the fluctuations in budget, whether an increase or a decrease, will not be destabilizing to any campus. Third, the model that was selected reflects the spirit of the performance funding model used by the Commission for Higher Education and the General Assembly. And finally, it was the model that the chancellors reached consensus on. So realizing that every campus and the communities they serve are different, an equity index was incorporated factoring in unemployment, per capita income, and educational attainment for each service area. Campus service areas were rated as low, medium, or high equity need based on these 3 factors. And so because we've not yet fully explained our deliberate decision a year ago to address equity across our campuses, please allow me to take a moment to dive a little bit more deeply into this equity index. Campuses and service areas that have high equity need often experience lower per capita income, higher unemployment, and lower educational attainment rates. These communities are working hard to improve their economic and social vitality. And we know that educational attainment is the key to their success. Therefore, in order to fulfill our mission of equitable access, equitable success, and equitable post-completion success, we invest slightly more in campuses with high equity need versus campuses that experience medium or low equity needs. We also considered in this model the terms of degree and credential production, meaning career certificates, technical certificates, and associate degrees. For the purposes of the budget allocation, we count one 6-digit SIP code or code of instructional program that degree or credential per year. Next, I will explain the mechanics of the selected budget allocation model. First, we are only allocating the state appropriation, the state funding. All tuition and fees remain at the campus level. Second, 10% of the collective campus level state funding is pooled and then set aside for redistribution based on the criteria mentioned previously. 90% of that state funding stays at the campus level. It's that 10% that will factor. Next, the 10% is redistributed based on performance. It should also be noted that we will go through the same process each year, which recognizes campuses for their performance and the communities they serve. With this model and the redistribution of the 10%, 11 campuses will have an increase to their operating budgets, and 8 campuses will have a decrease. One of the other factors that went into consideration was the absolute swing, or the difference between the largest increase that a campus might experience and the largest decrease that a campus might experience. And when all was said and done, that absolute swing was a little bit more than $800,000. I'd like to thank William Bogart and Matt Hawkins for their work in creating and considering the options, narrowing the list down to a manageable number. 20 would have been quite the experience, and then presenting them in a way that honored the work of our campuses and our chancellors. And thank you to our chancellors for their thoughtful consideration of the models, balancing the needs of each of their individual campuses, each of your campuses, and the needs we have as a statewide college.
Thank you, Andy, and for the work, the appreciation that we have for William and Matt and all those who worked on this very important project. Getting to a good solution for that budget reallocation was not an easy process, as you can imagine. Well, earlier this month, each campus provided us with a budget progress report, and we heard many great ideas. One that I wanted to share came from our Indianapolis campus. They have printed up this card, as you can see, to give to people that they meet, maybe at a restaurant, maybe when you're out with friends or family, to encourage them to learn more about coming to Ivy Tech. We've all been there. You've met someone, you've told them that you work at Ivy Tech, and they express that they have some interest to come back, and you have nothing to give them. Well, what a great idea from the Indianapolis campus. And I took a whole stack of these cards, and I've already given some of them away. The back of the card actually has a space to indicate who you are, that it's referred by you, and that's a way that we can know who our great referral sources are. Actually, I was able to use one this week with our foundation board members in South Bend as we were sitting to lunch, and that member, Donna File, gave that card. I had just given it to her. She gave it on to a waiter to consider coming back to Ivy Tech. So they're very practical and looking forward to this. And thank you, Indianapolis campus, for a best practice. Now, I'd like to update you on 2 other organizational structure projects. First, the Finance Hub analysis work, which is now complete, and we are moving to implementation. I'd like to thank the 53 members of the Finance Hub analysis team. This was a massive undertaking with 88 different processes, documented, reviewed, and grouped into future state recommendations. The team's final recommendations were presented to the chancellors on April 4th. 3 of the 4 recommendations were accepted in whole. We are working on a formal communication to all college members to further detail these recommendations. We're also working to determine the budget implications. Since there were several allocation and chargeback methods recommended, we need to really study these a little bit further. The Hub implementation team will address this as they move forward and give us details of the recommendation. This is another important step moving Ivy Tech forward as we work to establish statewide consistent processes and effective operations that best support our students and our fellow employees. The second is our payroll transition project, which is successfully underway, and I would like to give just a few updates. Detailed emails have been sent from HR providing instructions for full-time administrative faculty and staff who transition to the biweekly pay frequency beginning April 16th. To report lost time, sick or vacation hours going forward, you will have a new form to use. This was provided in the email and can also be found in the Infonet. Your first biweekly payment for the pay period is for 4/16 through 4/29, and that will be paid on Friday, May the 11th. If you elected a transition loan, you receive that in your 4/13 pay. If you elected an option to cash in your accrued vacation, this amount will be paid in the Monday, April 30th, coming up pay period. Please note this is a transitional payroll outside the normal payroll process. For full-time faculty, your local HR team has emailed detailed information and corresponding forms pertaining to the faculty transition on that biweekly pay frequency. This begins with the onset of the 2018-19 faculty agreements in August. For additional information and resources pertaining to the payroll frequency transition, please visit the Human Resources page in My Ivy. Should you have any further questions, please contact your local HR office. And as you may already know, Ivy Tech has been involved with the reverse transfer process now for several years. I've asked Ann Yater, our Assistant VP for Student Records and our College Registrar, to provide us with an update. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you, Dr. Ellspermann. What is reverse transfer? Reverse transfer is a unique process for retroactively awarding associate degrees to students who have transferred from Ivy Tech in pursuit of a bachelor's degree before completing requirements for their associate degree here at Ivy Tech. Students may combine credits earned both here and at the four-year institution to be awarded an associate degree while also working toward their bachelor's degree. Ivy Tech has been partnering with various four-year institutions regarding reverse transfer since 2013. And through these agreements, we have been able to award 352 associate degrees to students as of April 15th this year. Of those degrees that we've awarded, the top campuses to which reverse transfer degrees have been awarded are Purdue. It's because Purdue was Lafayette. That's because Purdue was an early adopter of reverse transfer. Indianapolis and the Sellersburg campus through a partnership with the University of Louisville. The top majors awarded so far have been liberal arts, general studies, and business administration. How does reverse transfer work? Students submit their transcripts to the Systems Office Student Records Department for consideration for reverse transfer. Students may learn of the reverse transfer opportunity through direct mailings or emailings from Ivy Tech or from the four-year partner, through our marketing efforts by using transfer out data from the National Student Clearinghouse, through the reverse transfer page on the Ivy Tech webpage, or by word of mouth. Once we receive the student's transcript from the four-year institution, we go to work evaluating that transcript for transfer credit. Often, the student has attended several institutions in addition to Ivy Tech, so we reach out to the student to obtain those other transcripts for consideration. Once we've received all of the coursework the student has taken from institutions other than Ivy Tech, we evaluate all that work to see if the student is near completion of an associate degree that we offer here at Ivy Tech. We first audit the student's record against the student's prior program of study while they were here at Ivy Tech. Then we look at broader programs, such as liberal arts. If we find the student has completed all coursework for one of these programs, we reach out to the student to obtain a few key pieces of information to process a degree and a diploma, such as their preferred name and their mailing address. The degree is posted to the campus where the student last attended Ivy Tech. If the student is short a course or two, we will reach out to the student and let the student know of options, such as completing that missing course or courses at the student's four-year institution, if it fits with the student's bachelor degree objective. The student then submits a new transcript for evaluation. If a student is nearly complete, or even complete in more than one program, we reach out to the student to ascertain which associate degree completion is most desirable for the student. All through this process, which is largely manually labor-intensive, we communicate with the student to make sure we are providing the best outcome based on the student's coursework. Who are our four-year partners in this endeavor? We have an agreement with all of the state four-year institutions in Indiana, including the Purdue and IU campuses, Ball State, Indiana State, and the University of Southern Indiana. Additionally, we have reverse transfer agreements with Indiana Wesleyan University, Kaplan, now Purdue Global, St. Mary of the Woods, WGU, Grace College, Marian University, Trine University, Ottawa University, the University of Phoenix, Valparaiso University, and the University of Louisville, with new partner schools completing MOUs all the time. What are some of the benefits to the student for completing and participating in reverse transfer? There are really too many benefits to list all of them here, but some compelling ones are: students make more money with an associate degree than with a high school diploma. Many of the students we have awarded degrees to through reverse transfer report receiving raises and promotions as a result of that associate degree. Several four-year institutions give discounted tuition to those students holding an associate degree. So some students have seen immediate reductions in their tuition costs at their four-year school. Per research conducted by Texas A&M, students are more likely to persist to completion of a bachelor's degree if they have an associate degree. And finally, there are intangible benefits, including a sense of accomplishment and pride that accompany receipt of the associate degree. In conclusion, there are many people to acknowledge who make reverse transfer a success at Ivy Tech. A few I'd like to mention are Mary Jane Michalak, Vice President for Government Relations, who has worked tirelessly to acquire participation in reverse transfer from all of our state four-year institutions, whose agreements take effect July 1st. Russ Baker, Vice President for Academic Affairs, who has crafted numerous MOUs with our partners and helps to ensure that the integrity of our degrees is upheld throughout the reverse transfer process. And Michael Stacy, Assistant College Registrar, who has managed the entire reverse transfer process, communicating with hundreds of students, evaluating hundreds of transcripts, working to establish transfer credit equivalencies, and seeing the entire process through to the hopeful end of an awarded associate degree. She's truly a one-person shop, and I'm very grateful for her work in this endeavor. Our hope is to provide some automation to help this process in the future. Thank you for allowing me the time to provide an update on Ivy Tech's reverse transfer initiative and how it benefits our students.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your leadership in the reverse transfer initiative. It's such an important part of our strategic plan as we try to scale up completions to reach that big 50,000 credentials per year goal. And this is a significant piece where we expect hundreds, if not thousands, more associate degrees to be awarded. Well, another initiative included in our strategic plan is that of Strategy 1.4, ensuring our students' educational pathways provide for continuous enrollment through completions based on their time frame, including expanding to 8-week classes. So, as the college looks to increase our number of 8-week courses, a hot topic on many campuses, earlier this month, a team from Ivy Tech traveled to Odessa College in Texas to learn more about their success in 8-week courses. Corey Klossman-Ryan, our Assistant Vice President of Student Success, led that team, and I've asked him to join us here today to share about the trip. Welcome, Corey.
Thank you, Sue. 2 weeks ago, a team of 17 faculty, staff, and campus and systems office leadership joined 3 other colleges from Texas and Michigan to participate in Odessa College's High Impact Strategies Leadership Institute. This institute included a series of meetings focused on several initiatives Odessa has implemented to increase student success, one of which is a significant increase in 8-week course offerings. Like Ivy Tech, Odessa College has a history of offering shorter courses that didn't span the entire semester, and like us, they are only a smaller portion of their overall course offerings. That changed in fall of 2014 when they decided to make 8-week courses the default course length for nearly all of their course offerings. However, it is important to note this implementation did not occur in a vacuum. A large change such as this required several foundational changes and supports across the college. They openly shared their experiences with our team so that we could learn from them. The first major change was an initiative to increase engagement between faculty, staff, and students to reduce the number of course drops and withdrawals. Because shorter classes mean every single day counts that much more, there was more of a focus on intervening immediately as soon as there is a sign that a student may be struggling. These 4 commitments included increasing communication with students early in the term to connect them with the college and their course. College employees also became more intentional in calling students by name to provide a more personal and caring atmosphere. Finally, faculty and staff were encouraged to become what they call masters of paradox, where understanding the complexity of students' lives means spelling out clear expectations and the penalties for failing to meet them, but also offering appropriate flexibility when situations warrant it. Second, Odessa College laid out an intentional, linear academic plan to guide students to completion. This meant building a pathway of classes that limited options and created a layout of all 20 classes a student needs to earn an associate degree. Course offerings are currently known at least a year and a half in advance to allow for easier schedule planning. The students literally enroll and complete courses in a 1 to 20 consecutive order. Students who stay on plan receive tuition discounts and other incentives at appropriate completion points along the plan. Third, students then work closely with advisors each semester to plan their schedule for both 8-week terms. This includes deliberately scheduling courses that complement each other for both rigor and relevancy to set students up for success from the very beginning. Finally, Odessa College also created programs that engage students and connect them to the campus. This includes intentional connections with high school and middle school students and their parents, offering financial incentives to students as they progress toward completion, and providing an opportunity to win large prizes, including a new car, by accumulating points from attending campus events and activities. In short, they engage faculty, staff, and students at all levels of the institution and fundamentally rethought how they delivered instruction and connected with students. The results have been dramatic. Their 150% graduation rate, which we commonly refer to as our IPEDS graduation rate, more than doubled from 20% to 42% in only 2 years, with more than 30% of their part-time students also graduating within that same time frame. In fact, Odessa now is the highest graduation rate for all community colleges within Texas, with the graduation rate for their part-time students exceeding the average rate for all full-time students within the state. Let me repeat that. Odessa now is the highest graduation rate for all community colleges within Texas, with the graduation rate for their part-time students exceeding the average rate for all full-time students within the state. Although Odessa's results have been especially dramatic, it is important to note that the success of 8-week courses is not unique to this one institution. Similar success has occurred at institutions across the U.S., including here at Ivy Tech, where we have also seen higher passing rates for our 8-week courses. There are many reasons for this success beyond what I've just mentioned. 8-week courses offer the opportunity for both students and faculty to be able to focus on fewer classes, meaning burnout is avoided, and there are also fewer assignments and exams due at one time. And much of this can occur with little to no increase in the time spent in class each week. Another Odessa success from this, more students who are part-time become full-time. This is a proven student success strategy when implemented thoughtfully and strategically. We know the success of 8-week courses at Ivy Tech isn't simply a matter of replicating exactly what they are doing at Odessa. There are local considerations and contexts that must be taken into account to develop a program that will work for us. However, what is clear from our time there is that the success of this initiative does not reside solely within academic affairs. This is an Ivy Tech student success initiative that will require the work of all of us if it is to be a success. Now, you may be asking yourselves, what's next? The entire team that visited Odessa will continue to share what we've learned with each campus through updates and meetings. In addition, this insight will become part of the work of the statewide 8-week support team led by Dr. Karen Monroe. We know there is still much work to be done, but we are excited by the opportunities that await us as we look to continue increasing the success of our students.
Wow. Thank you, Corey, for
you.
coordinating the work of this team as we visited Odessa and your commitment to student success. But as you said, this is really all of our commitment to make it happen.
Thank you.
2 years ago, the college reimagined 2 events, the Academic Advising Summit and the Program Chair Summit, into one new single event called the Student Success Summit. On April 12th and 13th, we brought together over 600 faculty, staff, students, and college partners in French Lick for the second annual Student Success Summit. Dr. Russ Baker, who leads the Student Success Summit Planning Committee, could not be here today, so I've asked his colleague, Dr. Kara Monroe, to give a brief recap of the event.
Thank you, Sue. The theme of this year's summit was Building Communities, Ensuring Student Success. The summit brought together faculty, academic advisors, academic support staff, and others from across the college for 25 jam-packed hours of programming. The opening address this year was given by Brad McCarahan from Inside Track. Brad's presentation was called Staying Open, Aligning 3 Beliefs to Maximize Impact. His follow-up workshop gave participants a chance to learn approaches that advisors and staff can take with different student populations. On Friday morning, participants also had the chance to enjoy a plenary session by Dr. Kathy Hamilton. Kathy's talk was entitled, Using Our Brain to Understand Theirs, the Power of Poverty. Dr. Hamilton also provided a follow-up workshop that was very well attended. A new feature of this year's summit was the inclusion of 6 economic sector breakout sessions offered on Thursday afternoon. Summit participants had the opportunity to learn more from industry leaders about new trends and opportunities in one of 6 economic sectors identified as crucial to meeting Indiana's future workforce needs. A highlight of the summit was the annual awards banquet on Thursday evening, in which we honor award winners of the Academic Advising and Outstanding Adjunct Faculty Award recipients. Each campus was represented by an adjunct faculty member for this important faculty recognition. We also announced the winner of the Gerald I. Lampkin Adjunct Faculty Award. This year, that honor was presented to Dr. Kenneth Motor of Lafayette. Dr. Motor gave an impromptu speech after receiving the award that truly demonstrated why our adjunct faculty are so crucial to our success. On Friday morning, we turned the presentation of content over to all of our own faculty and staff. This year, we had 28 concurrent sessions presented by faculty and staff from across the college. This portion of the summit is always the very best rated part of our program. And Sue, I want to thank you for closing the program this year with a workshop on 40X that helped us highlight some of the great work our campuses are doing, as well as how the 40X operating model is helping campuses focus on the wildly important. We would like to thank the Program Planning Committee and the campus liaisons from each of our 19 campuses for their incredible work in assisting us this year with all of the planning and logistics. You can learn more, view the electronic copies of the presentations, and see many pictures from this year's summit at the address that is on the screen there, ivtech.edu/Student Success Summit. Next year's summit is March 28th and 29th, and I can attest that we have already begun planning for that event, so we hope that you will please mark your calendars.
Thank you, Kara, for the update. And while you're here, stay here. I do want to make sure that everyone has heard that you'll be moving into a new role starting July 1. As you know, she is Provost-elect for Ivy Tech Community College. That was the culmination, really, of a process that began with a traditional interview process of a truly stellar pool of provost candidates. Eventually, that process was narrowed down to 2 finalists who then came before our newly inaugural Faculty Council and our CAOC, our Campus Academic Officer Council, who then gave feedback and helped vet the finalists. So congratulations, Kara. We are so excited to have you coming in as our provost July 1. And I know you've already begun to take on elements of that job, learning the job as you go forward. But thank you very, very much. Well, as we've done the last 2 months, and is to invite one of our new chancellors to join me so we can learn more about him and his community. Today, I'm joined by Sellersburg's new chancellor, Travis Hare. Welcome, Travis. Well, I invite you to tell us a little about yourself. Like, you might begin with, what did you do prior to coming to Ivy Tech?
Sure. Thanks, Sue. Prior to joining Ivy Tech just 3 short months ago, I spent 12 years working in leadership for Greater Clark County Schools, most recently serving as deputy superintendent since 2012. Before that, I was an assistant principal for student and staff development at New Albany High School. One of the most exciting things about coming to Ivy Tech for me was the opportunity to take my experience that I've had in the K-12 setting to the next level. I'm really looking forward to using that experience as a tool to help us to better connect to our high schools, to partner with more creative opportunities for completions, and new ways to explore dual enrollment opportunities. We've already started that experience with the success in working with those partners to find new ways for our mission staffs to connect with our high school counselors. This spring, with the help of the high school counselors in key schools, we are offering workshops specifically targeting seniors who had not made plans to go to college after graduation. Our admission recruiters are sitting down and they're able to talk to those students about information about alternative options in pursuing traditional college degree by focusing their message on short-term options that result in a credential that will help them gain employment in a high-demand career field. I think the 8-week courses certainly will appeal to these students.
Thanks, Travis. There seems to be a lot of exciting things happening in the southern Indiana area. Would you like to tell just a little more about your community and how Ivy Tech plays a role in the region?
I think one of the best things about Ivy Tech Sellersburg is our location. Many people, even within Ivy Tech, don't realize that our campus is located less than 10 minutes from the heart of downtown Louisville. In addition, we are also only 15 miles away from River Ridge Commerce Center. River Ridge is a world-class business and manufacturing hub with over 6,000 acres of land under development along the Ohio River, including the largest new industrial development park east of the Mississippi. The opportunities for partnership between Ivy Tech Sellersburg and the businesses located within River Ridge are virtually endless. In the past 90 days, we have already been able to secure a formal MOU with the Amazon Fulfillment Center located in River Ridge for an AYD program. And we're very close to another formal agreement with Heartland Payment Systems. Heartland has already sent approximately 150 of their employees to Ivy Tech, which has resulted in 50 graduates with associate degrees. In addition, we're in the process of completing a feasibility study to determine other ways we can best partner with River Ridge as they continue to grow and expand.
Wonderful. So, Travis, as a new chancellor, can you tell us what you've learned in your early months on the job?
Sure, Sue. I'm learning so much every day, and it's really difficult to pin down even to a few points. But one thing that I've been very impressed with at Ivy Tech is that the institution is truly driven by the state's needs. The data our institution collects is second to none, and it is what we use to make decisions about how the college should move forward. In addition to that, I just have to say that I've heard countless stories already from both current students and community members about how Ivy Tech has touched their lives in one way or another. I have scheduled lunches with groups of students to learn more about their stories and to gather their thoughts about Ivy Tech. The other thing that stands out is the passion and caring attitudes that so many of our instructors have. It truly is a mission to work at Ivy Tech, and I've met so many wonderful and caring people, not only on our campus, but on other campuses and within the systems office. My favorite story that really happened while I was at Greater Clark right before I left, it was late one evening after a board meeting, and my phone was dying. And I asked a couple of folks if they had a charger. And from the back, I heard somebody say, "I have one you can borrow." And it was one of our housekeeping staff. And she said, "It's down in my purse if you want to go down and get it." So we jumped on the elevator together, and we were riding down, and she looked over at me. She said, "Are you really leaving?" And I said, "Yeah, it's kind of bittersweet that I'm leaving, but I'm really looking forward to what's in the future." And she looked right back at me. She said, "Well, you promised me one thing." And I said, "Well, I'll certainly try. What is that?" And she said, "Well, you promised in 2 years to shake my hand because I just enrolled at Ivy Tech and I want to be a nurse." So you just never know, Sue, where you're going to.
That's awesome. You're going to have 100, if not 1,000 more of those stories to tell, and it is the work we do. So thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
You found the right home.
Thank you.
So thank you, Travis. Well, this worked well for your schedule since you were already supposed to be here doing the Simplex training. And you may have noticed we're not in our usual location for our President's Update, so I wanted to take advantage of the fact that Simplex was going on to just share a little bit more about the training. Simplex is a creative problem-solving process that is being used across the college to identify and solve complex issues, and you know we have plenty. Many of the problems we encounter here at Ivy Tech are what we'll call those fuzzy situations, and I look at the crowd who's just learned that term, meaning that they really are ambiguous, unstructured, really no clear solution in mind. The Simplex process provides that very systematic approach for problem solving while encouraging creativity and innovation. Simplex supports the strategic vision, mission, and goals of the college, enabling our faculty and staff to have a baseline methodology for innovation that will support future implementation for all of our strategic goals. Providing professional development for faculty and staff is, in fact, in our strategic plan in Goal 5. Strategy 5.2 is to foster creativity, increase innovation in faculty and staff, and so, again, aligned. But why Simplex? Why that methodology? So firsthand know that I've spent 30 years around this methodology when I was with Frito-Lay in Dallas, Texas, where I worked. Not only did we save $500 million over 5 years, but it helped all of us to become better problem solvers and to improve our jobs at every level, from the front line to the executive suite. When I left Frito-Lay to return to Southern Indiana, they asked if I would continue as a consultant for them, and I began to work with their consultant, Dr. Minbaster, really the guru of Simplex. Over the next 20 years, I worked with more than 100 organizations, ranging from Microsoft to the Sisters of St. Benedict, using that process to solve problems, to do strategic plans, and all kinds of community initiatives. In fact, my master's thesis and dissertation is based on how to move this body of knowledge forward in problem solving. I also brought Simplex to the University of Southern Indiana while there, and the Lieutenant Governor's office while there. First, this process empowers people to solve problems better together and collaboratively, as well as individually. Second, it gets amazing results. Just as 4DX works to help us with day-to-day results, Simplex is the tool to blow those barriers out of the way on how we improve and get better. When I learned Simplex, we talked years ago about Toffler's future shock. Some of you remember that in his book, and the accelerating rate of change that was coming. Well, I can say 30 years later, that accelerating rate of change has not slowed down. It's accelerated even further. Simplex is a tool to really harness the energy for that change, to control the whirlwind, and to navigate successfully through it. Every industry is challenged by change. Higher education is no exception. The expectations of our students, the technology we are teaching, the technology we use to teach, and the needs of our employers are all changing at warp speed. We have countless fuzzy situations to deal with every day. Ivy Tech began offering Simplex training to cabinet members and campus leadership in the late fall of 2016. Through the end of 2016 and early 2017, we continued offering Simplex 1 and 2 training through an external consultant to about 65 of our folks inside Ivy Tech. In order to grow that pool further, we needed our own trainers. So in May of 2017, Stacy Atkinson, Kirsten Beal, Kara Monroe, and Kristen Moreland completed a 40-hour Simplex Train the Trainer in Cincinnati. Since that time, they have been para-training, and this week, they are running their very first full Simplex 1 workshop right here with the live audience that we have before us. I wanted to take a moment to congratulate Stacy, Kristen, Kirsten, and Kara on becoming Simplex certified trainers and present them with their official certificates. So, if they would come up one at a time. Stacy Atkinson, let me congratulate you. Congratulations. Kirsten Beal, congratulations. Kara Monroe, congratulations. And Kristen Moreland, congratulations. I'm so proud of the work this team has done and will continue to do in operationalizing Simplex at Ivy Tech. We're also going to be adding 2 more trainers to their ranks, Chad Bolser, Chancellor of the Richmond campus, and Jason Roth, Chair of Design Technology on the Indianapolis campus. In fact, they go through their training next week. At Ivy Tech, we are providing both Simplex 1 and 2 training to employees. The intent and goal of the college is to, over the course of time, provide Simplex 1 training to any employee who expresses an interest. Simplex 2 will then allow those who are interested in learning to facilitate to go on further. Simplex Level 1 training provides an introduction to the Simplex process and methods while also increasing participant skill levels in facilitative leadership, innovation, and shared decision making. The Simplex training program works hand in hand with our college's talent development pipeline programs to help employees develop the essential skills needed for success in various levels of leadership throughout the college as communicated through the Ivy Tech leadership competencies. So, I'd like to give you just a quick example of how some of that thinking and problem-solving skill looks like as they experience Simplex 1. So I'm going to use my real training folks out here and do a little problem with them. You see what you think. So, Simplex 1 participants, here's your problem. Here's the instructions. Add 2 lines and make nothing. Add 2 lines and make nothing. Now, those who are watching, I'm going to see how fast somebody will pop up here and give me one of your answers. And just tell me why. Add 2 lines and make nothing. Come on up. That front row, look at them. Add 2 lines and make nothing. I'm going to encourage them here. All right. Put one up there. Here we go. All right. See, there they come. All right. There you go. Add 2 lines and make nothing. Okay. That's one. I'm sure we've got another. Add 2 lines and make nothing. Remember what you learned this morning. He's going. Good. Here comes number 2. There you go. Add 2 lines and make nothing. There's nothing there. All right. All right. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get at least one. Add 2 lines and make nothing. If you were a 2nd or 3rd grader, what would you put up here? Come on. It's going to work. Look at this. It's going to work. Here it goes. There you go. Just do something else with the other one. Okay. So tell me what the answer was. It's a
11 minus 11.
All right. 11 minus 11 equals nothing, and who cares about that, right? Okay. So we could go on and on. Some people like to make too big like circles out of them. I mean, there's just 100 different ways. So to my class, and you're going to bring that around, what do these demonstrate? When we do these kind of problems, what are we trying to demonstrate? Some of your thoughts.
That there's many different ways to look at something.
There are many different ways. And what about solutions? Is there, in the real world, is there typically one solution or more? Yeah. So their heads are nodding. So the goal here is just to say, look, let's think outside the box. We have so many problems to deal with every day, and yet we know the solutions that we had yesterday may not work tomorrow. And as we bring different people in, if we brought 3rd graders in to look at this problem, I tell you they'd have different solutions. And if I brought art majors in, they'd have different solutions. Or if I brought engineers in, they would have different. So these different points of view give us many different ways. And if we can build on the gifts and talents of all those people we have, there are no problems that we can't solve here at Ivy Tech. So I welcome all of you to join in. You're going to see up here, if we can put up the next slide, you can learn more about Simplex 1 or 2 by coming to the website that's listed here. And please sign up. It'll be your time, and I'm going to let this group go back to work. They've had a nice long break as we've done the President's Update. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you're enjoying this lovely, warm spring weather that finally found Indiana. Be sure and join me for our next President's Update, not in May, but in June 8th, Friday, June 8th at 2 p.m. Have a wonderful week.